toga, toga, toga. Welcome to 4K Ultra HD Review. And in case you don't know what's going on, we are reviewing National Lampoon's Animal House. A lot of you may be familiar with National Lampoon from the Chevy Chase comedies, especially Christmas Vacation, which is one of my favorite ones. National Lampoon is, or was, a comedy magazine similar to Mad Magazine or Cracked Magazine that came out in the basically 60s and 70s. Before that, it was the Harvard Lampoon, which was kind of like a newspaper zine kind of comedic satire dealy like that. And a lot of the short stories that came out of that magazine were turned into various products such as films. Animal House being one of them, where it was a group of writers and producers that all took all their funny anecdotes from college life and made it into the film. Originally, this movie was supposed to be about high school. So originally, this was basically a super bad film. And once again, I would say similar to what we discussed about the Hitchcock films, where going back and watching these movies, because basically a whole genre of films were inspired by these, that going back, it just feels, even though these aren't derivative, everything has derived from these. So it's like, well, I've seen these gags before and I've seen them done even better in modern times. You have to look at this in a historical lens, that this was the beginning of all those coming to age movies like American Pie and Superbad, Porky's. All those films came from this. If it wasn't for this film, you wouldn't get all those raunchy comedies. This was basically my first time watching Animal House, and I just knew it because of the reputation, because of the hype. I went to comedy school, and a lot of my fellow classmates were in love with this movie and were mimicking scenes of it while they were in college. I never really gave this film a chance until now to watch it. Overall, I would say, yeah, it did feel a bit dated. John Belushi was hilarious in the film. He's the standout performance of this movie. He was also the highest paid actor in this movie at a whopping $40,000 he got paid for this flick. And it was very interesting. It was also dated in some of the social stuff that happens in it. Some scenes were surprisingly shocking to me, and I feel like I don't get shocked by a lot of stuff. There were scenes about really creepy and rapey scenes in this film that I was astonished by. Maybe that was part of the humor, but whoa. The film as a 4K transfer, I would say that you would benefit from the 4K because of the source material being so dark and dingy. The first 2/3 of the movie are in a dark, almost candlelit frat house. All the scenes are at night because it's a frat house. It's partying in the 60s, I believe. So it was a lot of natural light. And I could see that maybe if you have a DVD copy of this, you would see the blacks all in these artifacts, and it would probably look terrible, older copies of this. So this didn't look that great, but at least the blacks were clean. And I'm guessing if you have an OLED television, those issues don't really exist. In OLED screens, you don't really see those pixelated compression artifacts or what have you. This was very clean copy. Even on an LED TV, the blacks looked good, that it was manageable watching it, even though it was still a very, very dark looking film. The third act of the film, the final act of the film, was the best. I would say the whole budget was basically the third act, where it all culminated to the parade. And there was a lot of like slapstick hijinks and stuff that happened at the end. And absolutely everything was the ending of this film. My personal preference for comedy movies is I don't believe a comedy film should be more than 80 minutes. I think the sweet spot for a comedy is an hour and a half to an hour and 20 minutes. This was a little too long. This was around an hour and 50 minutes. I felt it was just a bit too long for my attention span for a comedy. But there was a lot of funny hijinks in this movie. Gave me a whole sense of those types of movies, those Second City feeling films where bits and pieces are improvised and whatnot in the movies. It's got that campy humor. I don't even remember movies like... I remember when I was a kid, I liked movies like Meatballs, Porky's, which I think were a bit more raunchy than this one. However, this was, in comparison, this was tame besides some of those strange moments that were out of nowhere in this film. There's a good Donald Sutherland bit in the film where it was dear to me. He got to play a pot-smoking college professor, which I thought was pretty funny. I did watch the featurettes that played after this film, and they were great. It was really, really cool. There was immediately one documentary featurette where they talk about stuff that went on behind the scenes, that they did do a lot of partying and coke while they were producing this film. They would get into fights. It was very interesting bonuses in this. There was also a featurette that was in the DVD where it's basically Where Were They Now, where they interview the actors, but they're in character of what they are doing in present day, which was funny. It was an extra bonus in this film. And it went well with the movie itself. At the end of the movie, it reminded me of Police Academy, where there was just like postscript at the bottom saying what happened to them after they graduated from college. But yeah, overall, the picture was good. It's definitely an upgrade from if you're coming from a DVD. I can attest from the Blu-ray copy. I mean, I have the Blu-ray copy. It came with this disc, but I didn't watch it to see if it's a worth the upgrade. At this point, these 4Ks are pretty much the same price of Blu-rays, so you might as well get this package. But if you love this movie and you're coming from a DVD, this would get you a cleaner image of the film. Now, I heard that movies like Ghostbusters also suffer from this, that the source material isn't that great. So even the 4K version of it, it's the best version you can get, but it all still relies on how well that actual film was preserved. But yeah, this movie it's good. I wasn't laughing out loud at any parts of it, but it was, in a historical sense, it influenced a lot of films that I enjoy, such as Revenge of the Nerds. I used to love Revenge of the Nerds, and this was definitely gave me that Revenge of the Nerds vibe to it. John Landis has directed a lot of my favorite films. One would be for sure Coming to America, which I have talked about before. Another one is Trading Places. Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. That's one of my favorite films, and I hope that comes out on 4K. Other than this, an interesting tidbit would be a connection to Hamilton, Ontario, my birthplace. Reitman, one of the producers, a lot of his influences or the stuff that he pitched that happened to him when he was in college was based out of his experiences at a fraternity at McMaster University here in Hamilton. Kathy Smith, one of John Belushi's groupies, is from Hamilton and was extradited from Hamilton when it turned out that she was the one that gave Belushi 11 of those speedballs that ultimately came to his demise. So that's another unfortunate Hamilton connection. But yeah, overall, I would give this film a 7.5 out of 10. Picture quality is good for what it is based off the source material. The sound is good. Those Otis Day performances were great. Those were actually one of the best lit scenes in the film, or those concerts there. And it has a lot of good oldies music in it, that it's nice and clean, has a clean DTS audio transfer to it. Packaging is nice and shiny. Right now I'll probably be showing the packaging. As you can see, it comes with the 2 discs inside, but nothing too special about that. But yeah, 7.5 out of 10. Pick this up if you're a fan of Animal House. As always, thanks for watching. I'm your host, Billy Hoosh. If you like what you see, please subscribe, click that notification bell, and we'll have more 4K film reviews for you. Take it easy. I appreciate you.